All right, today on the Happy Satellite Nerd, we're going to look at how to update your Edision OS MIO 4 plus 4K satellite receiver. So what I've recently had to do is I was at the Open ATV 6.3, so I had to bring it to Open ATV 6.2. So it was all able to do that by just simply downloading the image and installing it. And the reason for that was with the 6.3, the blind scan was not working on this, but when we reverted it back to 6.2, it was. So for updates, we'll take a look today on how to update or load it up to 6.2 so that you can use your Edision OS MIO plus 4K for doing a blind scan on your satellite system. Okay, so you go to your Open ATV, you go to your menu, and you want to go to your setup setting. You go to setup, and you will go into your software management. This is to back up your software. So back up system settings, which is just the system settings we're going to make our satellite receiver great again. And then we go in and back up our image. Make sure you have a USB thing plugged in there, USB storage device. Set your backup destination. That did back it right up to my USB storage. And it does its thing. It writes it. I guess you can hide it in the background if you want. I just left it going because I wanted to make sure it was doing everything okay. It took some time, but after it took its time, it had it pretty much ready, and I just saved it and then just backed out of it a bunch of times. And I had my backup all set and ready to go. And then it took back to this menu, and I just backed out of there. Yeah, back out of the Open ATV settings a lot. And there it is, the file that I backed up there on my Linux desktop. Now, to fix, also to update from the flash, you want to go, it will load off all the stuff. You'll have to have it connected to the internet for this, but the image version is 6.3, which I currently have. I wanted to go back to 6.2 because 6.2 is where the blind scan works. So you just go through all the settings and install it. And I just installed it over this slot 1 spot, and it did another backup because I wanted to make sure that was backed up. And I just went to upgrade backup flash. I did choice number 1, and it did everything. And as I did that, I watched a nice car chase going on in the background. It wasn't O.J. Simpson, but I think this person is gonna get to meet O.J. Simpson sometime in the future. So I'll continue to update the file as the suspect hid behind a house, and it were rebooted, and I was back to to the earlier version to Open ATV 6.2. And I watched the rest of the car chase. The police showed up, and I think eventually arrested the suspect. So this is my settings on my box. One important thing to do before you update your satellite receiver or any firmware on any equipment is you want to back it up to a USB storage device so that you'll be able to, just in case something were to go wrong, you'll have that backup. You never know if the memory goes bad on your system. At least you'll have a way of restoring your system. Also, please come check out my new website, which is freesatellitetv.net. Currently, at this time of recording this video, I have it pointed to my Facebook page, Free Satellite TV 1, and it's I'm thinking I might move it to a different site, but right now I'm just using that Facebook page just to get people information who are just starting with free to air and are looking to get more information about Free Satellite TV. Thank you. So we go back to our helicopter footage in the background here from the feed, and we're just going to go into our settings from reception and to tuner configuration. And to blind scan. So when you go in the blind scan, you can set your settings for what frequency you want to start at and what frequency you want to end, and your vertical or horizontal. So if you're looking for a specific feed, you can narrow down your search for what you want. Now you can do a free scan, or you can do a encrypted scan. Sometimes there is some channels that are encrypted, like on 97 West, that or they say they're encrypted, but they're actually not. So it goes through the scan here. In doing that, we're just doing a search for obviously free channels that are in the clear, unencrypted. So it goes through this part here. It does its scanning. And it goes through the transponders of 133 West, which is a satellite that has the Catholic TV mux. I guess there's some radio feeds in there as well, and that was what was on 133. I don't know if there's much on the KUB side of that, but I do have some friends who are Catholics and they're interested in getting EWTN. Shortwave channels. So we're going to do a blind scan here. This breakup of picture is actually kind of due to some interference that we get on that transponder sometimes. So here I'll do a scan on 127 West. Now those two feeds are, I believe they're baseball press conference feeds. So that's one thing you'll see on this is a C-band satellite, but you'll see it on KU band as well, where you see a lot of news feeds and satellite press conferences and things like that. So it's kind of a fun thing to get. You can also get live sporting events, anything that's live. A lot of the times they're in the clear, they're unencrypted, and you're able to find them. The big thing is you need a good receiver that can do a blind scan to be able to find them. And you can find where these feeds are by going to either Rick's Wild Feeds. Just do a Google search, learn how to Google. Go to Google, type in Rick's Wild Feeds, and you'll find a site that has that. Or you can also go to tvrosat.com and find information about that. And there's a few other sites that have post wild feeds. So there's also Reels and Fuse. Reels shows a lot of Hollywood crime, murder shows, and Fuse shows like a bunch of rerun shows, kind of like what MeTV and Cozy has. And also there's the NASA MUX. One of the channels is in 4K, and the other two are just mainly standard definition feeds, but they're separate feeds. But even the 4K feed here for NASA, I can down convert it. Like this video capture device is capturing down converted 4K signal, and it's sending it to 1080p. So I'm able to view the 4K content on a 1080p monitor, as they've have a new space shuttle. Well, I think this is a video of or film that's been converted to 4K of the space shuttle taking off. They don't really use the space shuttle at all anymore, but interesting. So yeah, that's NASA over on 127 West. And then you also get the sports feeds that with Free Satellite TV, KU band, and C band, you'll be able to tune in with a good blind scan receiver and get press conferences like this where sometimes you might just see the microphone. It's while they're preparing for the press conference, or also news broadcast where they're preparing to do the news. You might see the reporter standing there looking at their cell phone and various things like that. And there's this man here with his water, with the label torn off to be on TV, that type of stuff. So one thing I found when I was using this to do a KU band scan, I have my separate 4-foot dish, and I had it set to a different setting. This is the setting that works here as universal LMB. You want to make sure you have the voltage mode set properly. Polarization, that's what you want there. But you want to make sure you have your LOF frequency on this receiver in the appropriate spot. Now for me, for the KU band, it worked on a universal. Now for some LMBs, you might want a user-defined entrance with that. So this, so always look at your LMB for your settings. And once I had my LMB settings correct, I was able to get this to work. Where I had it incorrectly set, I wasn't able to get this working. So that's the fix for your KU LMBs, especially I find with a universal LMB. So we'll go through a scan here, and though there is a lot of feeds on this satellite, like especially on 99 West Galaxy 16, you'll see a lot of news feeds around when the news is going to be on, whenever there's usually newscasts. So you'll probably see like a whole bunch of news vans that are parked around North America covering these events. As you saw earlier, there's helicopter footage. Sometimes there's traffic reporting for someplace like KTLA or some type of news broadcast like that. Now, this time that it takes to do a blind scan with the Open ATV may vary. I've had, since I've done it a few times, it's been about 4 to 5 minutes of the time it takes to do a blind scan. Now, some receivers seem to be faster, but I think the idea of this one is that it is more accurate. So it's going to have that accuracy for when you're doing a blind scan to find all those weaker transponders. So that's part of how that will help you. Now you'll see there's InfoWars over on 99 West and several other feeds. Now I'll try to explain what some of these other feeds are, like this 11740. Sometimes these are the same channels, but they might be separate, different camera angles. So you might sometimes see a feed where there's all these different channels, and each channel is a different camera angle from a live via satellite event. And that DCHD is usually a news anchor desk somewhere in Washington, I guess. And once it's done, you can just back out of there. Another thing you can do is go to your favorites and go to the last scan option, and that'll bring you after doing a blind scan. That will bring you to all the just scanned in frequencies. So you can see this is an out of focus news desk. There's InfoWars. There's always a video of the White House. Well, not always, but there's like sometimes you'll see camera shots of the White House.
Are you looking for a satellite dish, a satellite receiver, or a actuator, or a satellite meter, or an LMB, or any satellite products for your free-to-air setup? Go to tech2000.com. Look at their wide variety of merchandise of many free-to-air satellite products that will soothe your satellite needs.
So that was a look at how to reflash your satellite receiver. So just always the thing you want to be careful before you're doing by backing up your system. And thank you for watching. Please, for more information, you can go to TVROSat and also Tech 2000. They'll have more information if you need help getting your receiver up and running.